Most Muay Thai fighters and coaches are making one of these 4 training mistakes. And I made all 4 before discovering the one approach that actually works. Here's how to identify the mistake you're making and escape the trap that's keeping you stuck. After 3 decades in Muay Thai, I've fallen into every training trap imaginable. And from traditional Thai camps to modern sports science, I've seen fighters get stuck in predictable patterns. Today, I'll show you the 4 mistakes and the one solution that's helped me and the fighters I've worked with break through plateaus and finally see consistent progress. Most people jump between these mistakes instead of understanding why they keep making them. And there's a psychological reason for that. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which trap you're in and how to escape it. The first mistake is what I call the nostalgic. Fighters who believe 1990s training methods are universally superior. I fell into this trap early on. After my first trip to Thailand, I came back convinced that Western training was corrupting Muay Thai. I abandoned all weight training, dismissed sports science, and tried to recreate 1990 Lumpini in my garage. You'll spot nostalgics watching vintage footage obsessively, dismissing any modern training methods, and believing if it wasn't done in the golden era, it's not authentic Muay Thai. They're training for 1990 Thailand while living in modern reality. Different lifestyle, different body, different goals. They confuse correlation with causation. Back then, everyone used the same approach, high volume, minimal equipment, same skill emphasis. It was a level playing field. Samart's success came from his talent and dedication within that system, not because concrete-filled buckets were superior to modern equipment. The principles of progressive overload and skill development are timeless. The methods must adapt to your reality. The second mistake is the grinder. Fighters who believe more intensity and volume equals faster progress. I've lived this mistake too. Every session had to end with me completely destroyed. I'd combine heavy bag work, sprints, and circuit training in the same session because I thought that's what dedication looked like. Grinders combine strength, cardio, and skills into chaotic daily WODs. They measure success by how destroyed they feel afterwards. Every session must end in complete exhaustion or they don't think they've worked hard enough. They're confusing effort with effectiveness. Your body adapts during recovery, not destruction. Constant high intensity prevents adaptation and leads to burnout, injury, or stagnation. You can't be everything every day. The third mistake is the collector. Fighters who believe the next gadget or novel exercise will unlock their potential. I spent a fortune on wobble boards, grip trainers, split stretching rigs, and every piece of equipment I saw on social media. My garage looked like a fitness equipment graveyard. Collectors make training decisions based on what looks cool on social media. They have garages full of unused equipment and constantly chase the latest secret training method. They're collecting methods instead of building mastery. Looking and feeling effective is far from being effective. There's no shortcut to fundamentals. The latest gadget won't fix poor movement patterns or inadequate conditioning base. Consistency with the basics beats novelty every time. The fourth mistake is the scholar. Fighters who believe complexity and expensive technology equal effectiveness. I went through a phase where I needed to measure everything perfectly. Force plates, heart rate variability, lactate testing. I was spending more time analyzing than actually training. Scholars suffer from analysis paralysis. They need perfect data before making any training decision. They're always testing and rarely training. Perfect measurement becomes the enemy of good enough progress. They study training instead of actually training. You can't tech your way out of basic fitness deficits. All the data in the world won't replace consistent, progressive training. Plus, they become dependent on equipment that others don't have and can't access. And what happens when the technology breaks or isn't available? If you're recognizing yourself in one or more of these mistakes, you're definitely not alone. I've been there, and so have thousands of fighters I've worked with over the years. The frustrating part is that all 4 of these approaches can feel like you're making progress in the short term, but they keep you stuck in the long run. And that's why I've created the free Muay Thai Performance Scorecard. It cuts through all of this confusion. 5 minutes and you'll get a clear snapshot of exactly where your training stands right now, plus a personalized roadmap to fill the gaps that are actually holding you back. Links in the description, but let me show you the solution that ties all this together first. Because there is one approach that works. And once you understand the psychology behind why we get trapped, you'll never fall into these mistakes again. The one approach that actually works is what I call being a results realist, an evidence-based but practically applied approach to Muay Thai training. A A results realist takes what works from every era and every method, discards what doesn't, and applies it to your actual reality. This shift changed everything for me. Instead of chasing perfect authenticity, perfect destruction, or perfect novelty, or perfect data, I started chasing perfect results. We're not anti-tradition, anti-intensity, anti-innovation, or anti-science. We're pro-results. If it works for your goals, your lifestyle, and your body, we use it. A results realist asks, what's the goal of my training session and how can I use readily available equipment to get maximum results? Not what would Sanchai use or what's the latest gadget? We periodize intensity based on adaptation science, not ego. Sometimes you train hard, sometimes you train smart, always you train consistently. We take timeless Thai principles and apply modern motor learning research, traditional wisdom plus contemporary science. Every decision gets filtered through one question. Will this move me closer to my goals, given my current reality? I had Billy, a 34-year-old stuck in a classic grinder mode, training 7 days straight with no rest days. Muay Thai 3 times a week, sprints plus heavy bag work twice a week, resistance training on weekends. As he said, family time during the week is pretty limited. He was grinding every single day, but seeing no breakthrough results. We restructured his approach with strategic recovery, proper periodization, and at least one complete rest day. The result? He went from grinding 7 days a week to winning 3 fights, 2 by TKO, and became USMTO novice champion at 135 pounds. Being a results realist means giving yourself permission to make Muay Thai work for your life instead of making your life fit some idealized version of Muay Thai. You're not being inauthentic to Muay Thai by thinking there's a better way that you can make your training work for you. You're being authentic to yourself. It's about maximum return on your training investment. Time-conscious professionals can't afford to waste energy on methods that don't work. We optimize for the long game, sustainable progress over short-term heroics, consistency over intensity, results over reputation. When I stopped trying to be the perfect traditional fighter, the perfect modern athlete, or the perfect student, and started focusing on being effective, everything clicked. Here's what I discovered after 30 plus years observing these patterns in myself and other fighters. It's not really about training methods at all. I started noticing that fighters don't just make one of these mistakes once. They cycle through them predictably. Nostalgic to grinder, to collector, to scholar, and can even shift back and forward too. The problem isn't the methods. The problem is the psychology that drives us towards these methods. It's about how we think about thinking itself. This led me to developmental psychology research that explains exactly why smart, dedicated fighters make these predictable mistakes. There's a simplified, triple-layer psychological model that explains everything. And once you understand it, you'll never get trapped again. The first layer is something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, the relationship between confidence and competence in any skill. Peak of ignorance is where confidence is high, but competence is low. How hard can effective training be? Then reality hits in the valley of despair where you realize the complexity. Most people quit here or swing to extremes. In Muay Thai, this looks like jumping into extreme methods without understanding basics, then swinging to rigid adherence to single approaches when reality hits. Those who persist gradually climb the slope of enlightenment, building competence with appropriate confidence, starting to understand nuance and context. And finally, at the plateau of sustainability, you have high competence with calibrated confidence to match, understanding when to apply different approaches. Most fighters get trapped between the peak and the valley, swinging between extreme confidence in simple solutions and paralysis from conflicting information. Now, the second layer explains why we get stuck at different points. There are 3 key developmental stages that determine how we process information and make decisions. About 50 to 60% of people are in the conformist stage. Tell me the right way. They value established authority and tradition above personal experience. Black and white thinking dominates. These fighters follow programs exactly as written, believe older methods are inherently superior, and need clear rules from authority figures. They create the nostalgic and the grinder archetypes. Another 30 to 40% are individualists. I'll do it my way. They reject conventional norms, want to be seen as innovative, and believe their approach is superior. They create complex, novel approaches, chase cutting-edge techniques, and focus on being different rather than effective. They become the collector and the scholar. Only 10 to 20% reach synthesis thinking. Let's do what works best for this context. They integrate multiple perspectives, see value in various approaches, and focus on outcomes. This is where the results realist naturally emerges. It's someone who can extract value from tradition, innovation, and science based on what actually produces results, and finds themselves breaking out of the herd. The training archetypes are behaviors you'll see when these psychological stages meet the Dunning-Kruger effect in Muay Thai, forming the third layer. Conformists at peak ignorance become nostalgics. Tradition is always right. In the valley of despair, they become grinders. More effort must be better. Individualists at peak confidence become collectors. I'll find the secret method. When humbled, they become scholars. I'll outthink everyone with technology. Synthesists have moved beyond both stages. They can hold multiple perspectives simultaneously and make context-dependent decisions. Understanding your current stage gives you the roadmap to evolve. You can't skip stages, but you can develop through them. I cycled through all 4 archetypes before developing synthesis thinking. My training problems weren't about methods, they were about mindset. So, here's what we covered. 4 training mistakes that keep fighters stuck. 1 solution that actually works. And the psychology behind why we get trapped in these patterns. The nostalgic chasing 1990s authenticity. The grinder believing more destruction equals progress. The collector hunting for secret methods. The scholar overanalyzing instead of training. The results realist approach. Evidence-based, but practically applied. Taking what works and discarding what doesn't for your specific context. The triple layer framework, the Dunning-Kruger effect, developmental stages, and how they create predictable training behaviors, moving from conformist to individualist to synthesis thinking. Your training problems aren't about methods, they're about mindset. You're not being inauthentic to Muay Thai by thinking there's a better way you can make your training work for you. Look, I've made all 4 of these mistakes. I've wasted years shifting between them, getting frustrated, making minimal progress. But understanding this psychology changed everything. Once I developed greater synthesis thinking and became a results realist, my training became efficient, effective, and sustainable. You don't have to make the same mistakes I did for years. You can shortcut this entire process. Give yourself permission to move beyond these psychological traps. You can honor tradition while embracing what works. My mantra of respect the traditional, embrace the new. You can be innovative without chasing novelty. You can train smart without overcomplicating. But first, you need to know exactly where you stand right now. That's where the free performance scorecard can help. And in just 5 minutes, you'll get a great idea where your Muay Thai training stands right now. Strength, conditioning, skills, recovery, everything. But more than that, it gives you a personalized roadmap showing you exactly which gaps are holding you back and what to focus on next. You'll recognize within minutes whether you're trapped in one of these 4 archetypes or if you're already thinking like a results realist. The link's in the description. Once you've taken the scorecard, there's one video you absolutely need to watch next. It's called Are You Muay Thai Training Like It's Still 1990? And it dives deep into exactly why so many fighters get trapped in the nostalgic mindset. I break down the specific differences between traditional Thai training and what actually works in modern contexts. You'll see exactly how to honor the principles while adapting the methods. It's the perfect companion for today's framework, showing you practical application of results realist thinking. Plus, this framework we've covered today applies to every single training decision you're going to make going forward. I'll be referencing it in future videos as we dive deeper into specific applications. Remember, effective training isn't following the latest trend or the oldest tradition. It's about understanding your psychology, knowing your context, and making evidence-based decisions. If this framework helped clarify your training approach, let me know in the comments. Which archetype did you recognize in yourself? And if you're ready to become a results realist, hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot of practical applications of this framework coming up. Take that scorecard, watch the 1990s video next, and I'll see you in the next one.